Bud Effect. Hey everybody, I'm Bad as Fish 80. Welcome back to the Fish Tank powered by Sneak Energy. Remember, use code FISH if you wish at sneakenergy.com. Now, we've got some tournament action for you. We've got the final of the 1v1 number 25 tournament. It's dragoN against Nataraja, and I am joined by Satan Warship. Satan, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm very well. Now, I don't know if I've had you on one of my official videos before, but to anybody that doesn't know you, you are, of course, a very experienced Mini-Masters player. You played the game for a long time, and you've competed in many, many tournaments. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Almost all of your tournaments and a lot of the bigger monthly ones, and a lot of the smaller ones also.
Yep, so Satan is very experienced, so it's great to have him here. So, just to remind you, this is going to be 1v1 number 25. It's going to be dragoN against Nataraja. This is a best of 5. This is a dual elimination tournament, so there is a potential best of 5 reset situation because one of the finalists, Nataraja, reached the final through the winner's bracket, not losing a match. So he does have a second life. So that means if dragoN wins his first best of 5, we could have a second best of 5. Whether that will be the case or not, I do not know. I don't know, dragoN, if you can quickly drop a message to Nataraja. I forgot to mention maybe he wants to drop by and hang out or not. But you can certainly do that. Now, we've got some bans coming in from these players. dragoN has banned King Puff and Stormbringer. So remember, you ban for your opponent, not yourself. And then Nataraja is countered with a Morelia Apep. How do you feel about those bans, Satan?
So, Nataraja's banned Morelia Apep, which makes a lot of sense for dragoN, because dragoN just has this ability to win against anything with Morelia. And Apep is just strong in general, and in a very at the higher levels, Apep tends to be stronger. So, with in dragoN's hands, it's very strong. What did you say? dragoN's bans were?
dragoN has banned King Puff and Stormbringer.
Interesting. So King Puff, Nataraja has been playing in a lot of the tournaments. That makes sense as a targeted ban. Stormbringer, I guess it also makes sense as a targeted ban because Nataraja loves playing his scrapyard decks. So I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, King Puff is super strong, but they do seem targeted in both ways. The bans.
Yeah. So, as you say, these do look like targeted bans. Firstly, these players will know each other very well. They've played each other a lot in tournaments and on ladder. And they'll also know the kind of stuff that each other prefers. Also, they met previously in this tournament in the winner's bracket final. So dragoN was beaten by Nataraja 3-2. So they will certainly be drawing on that experience when they're thinking about what their opponent is likely to play during this particular final. And then they'll think about not only what they can ban, but also what they can play that can be good against stuff that their opponent does like to play. Okay, so just a reminder, these are supported by Beta Dwarf. In the Fish Tank here, we do a 1v1 and a 2v2 tournament every month. So if you're enjoying this, please check out more of the content on YouTube. Loads of tournament finals and stuff there. Also, make sure you drop by the Discord, the stream, whatever. Find out about tournaments that are upcoming. Get involved. These are play over time events. They are open to everyone of any ability. Get involved. Help yourself get better at the game. Make friends. Be part of the community. Lots of cool stuff. Okay, so without any further ado, we're going to load into game number 1. Let me get that set up here. Try not to share my screen so I don't show. We're watching these from replays, so we do have to try to get them started at the same time. So we're just going to get to... Are you on the click to continue screen, Satan?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go, and then we'll go. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Masters, get ready.
Okay, so now I just need to get these set up at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's have a look what we have here. Right, what are we seeing, Satan?
Well, very standard cards for an APIP deck. Fenso, Stint, Plasma Marines, Once Bitten. I'm assuming there's the Wrecked Walker behind. Coming next. So, Beam is quite interesting, but mostly a very standard APIP deck.
Didn't Nataraja ban APIP? dragoN, didn't Nataraja ban APIP? Did we get, was there some confusion here?
That is what you said.
I know it's what I said. I'm sure that's what
maybe
you
said. Maybe that was the second one?
Could be. Nice spoiler, by the way.
If there is a second one?
If there is a second one, nice save.
But I don't know. Nice, annoying cards from Mordor, the Stixie, the Wizard Puff. Unfortunate about that Tombstone going down. But the Wizard Puff will just live. Probably won't get any big targets because dragoN doesn't really have any big targets in his deck, so that Wizard Puff is not going to do much in terms of removal on its death. But the Stixie will be frustrating. And
okay,
a Harbinger.
So good XP lead.
That's why he had a beam.
Massive beam to counter the Harbinger. Doesn't do so much face damage, 150 face damage now. I think, maybe. Not sure when this was played. It might have been before the patch.
Did we get any info on the ban?
We're not sure about the bans. dragoN in the chats has no idea what's going on. So he fits in perfectly here. Okay, so we've got a big XP lead for the dragoN, which is what you would expect with the control that APEP brings versus Mordor that doesn't really have that control ability.
And as a Wrecked Walker, Once Bitten player, you really hate the Once Bitten the Wrecked Walker getting sniped by any sniper, thereby not letting the wolf spawn.
Okay, looks like those bans were for the previous winners bracket final.
Okay.
So we'll await the updated information. Just cross those out on my bloody list. Okay, so nearly perk 3 for dragoN already, so he's super far ahead right now. Mordor, of course, can start getting back into it with the reses that it can potentially get.
Puff gave it a single mana to Nataraja, which is something.
Yeah.
So
you've got to be somewhat careful with the Wizard Puff in Mordor because you don't want to be resin that puff that it can generate.
Yeah.
Okay, so dragoN has banned King Puff and Stormbringer.
Yeah.
And Nataraja has banned Morelia and Milo.
Okay. I would still say the similar things about that, namely Milo being targeted for dragoN, but as we can see, APEP would have been a good target also because dragoN is flying ahead in XP. Mordor decks are known to drive at this point, even if they're behind.
Needs to get the reses, and he needs to keep the Mordor stomping up. But that Tombstone's going to go down with no res. And although Mordor can start coming back in this, he needs to be not too far behind, and it feels like he is. He's 60 XP
basically,
behind.
You want to reach, be well into the third perk before the enemy gets mana frenzy, so you can kill them with those hasted reses. You don't need to get to mana frenzy, but you do need to survive before the opponent gets to mana frenzy, and it looks like dragoN is almost there.
I mean, Mordor's a good master for lasting and surviving against mana frenzy, but not forever.
And especially not against an APEP with these free cards.
So that Flame Imp's one of his free cards from perk 3. It looks like dragoN should be able to close this out. He's about to hit Mana Frenzy. That'll give him even more control than he's already had. You'll see Mordor really DPSing everything a lot, but this is just too much. Nataraja knows dragoN's going to take this first game. APEP, too powerful for Mordor. Okay, so, I mean, That kind of went...
Which is unusual.
You think?
I would say Mordor has the advantage against APEP. I mean, it depends, right? Like, the wizard puff wasn't doing much.
No.
What's it called? What's the Jolo? The Jolo wasn't doing much against APEP. So in terms of specific cards in that Mordor deck, it wasn't working out. But I think if you can get good reses against an APEP, you can outvalue the free cards even, but not necessarily if your opponent's so far ahead as dragoN was.
Yeah, I think the problem was he was too far behind, so even if he started trading better, even if he started shutting down all the attacks, Nataraja was just too far behind, and you just can't hold on for that long. Although Mordor does do well against all those small units that the dragoN has once he's ramped up, but didn't really see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get ready for game number 2.
Cool, ready.
Setting my second one up here. Okay, so it's 1-0. Remember, these finals are best of 5. There is the potential, we don't know for sure, there is the potential for a second best of 5 if dragoN closes this out, since Nataraja does have a second life. Okay, let's get ready to load into this with 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Ratbo Setsu. So this is interesting. Ratbo is a kind of a stalling master with all the scrats. Setsu is an aggro face brush master with... Obviously I'm generalizing, you can do different things, but the general trend is that's the kind of decks they play towards. And a dragoN is definitely a push deck. So he wants to bank mana with that dragoN, and then Nataraja wants to get more minions on the board than dragoN can, given that he's banked mana. Obviously, given that the speed of dragoN has been increased, it doesn't really do that as much as it used to. But I think you're still doing that kind of style, especially with Setsu, where you can jump to protect it. But getting totally wrecked by this Green Buggy.
Okay, so that was a decent push, but dragoN's had the best of the bridge control coming out of that. And once dragoN gets to perk 2, that Daka is going to really help him soften up that Yahoo's going to be his target of choice. Stint being used to grab that bottom bridge. Just maintaining the bridge control. Doesn't take the bridge for very long, but he forces his opponent to react. Remember, you've got to hold a bridge for 4 seconds for it to actually count and give you XP. Yahoo! So we've got some heavy units in Nataraja's deck. Again, you see, this is a good thing to learn when you're playing these big units, especially the slow units. Spawn them as far back as possible. Gives you time to earn mana and support them. If you spawn them straight at the bridge, they can be straight into trouble. But here, that's a massive Daka.
And that's just so sad.
That's a combination of the Scrat Horde and the Frostfeather Flyby, giving them a huge number of units. And the Daka absolutely melts it.
Despite building up mana, he didn't have quite enough to put something in front, because the dragoN's movement speed is so fast now. It's not so fast compared to other minions compared to how it was when it was 2 speed.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference, and just getting to that bridge earlier so that the Daka can be unblockable is kind of huge, especially against the Ratbo.
So Stixie's going to have a good job here, shredding through these little units. Going to slow down when he gets to the Jolo. Fireball comes in. Okay, there's the Dragon Ball. Drop in the Whelp, unactivated. So Nataraja knows that he needs to stop that interaction with the Daka again. He can't trade that badly.
Right.
He does have the bats, and the bats are great for interrupting that, but of course they've got to be available. It's got to be in his
gameplay. Daka
gameplay.
probably coming for this shield guard, I would expect. Yeah. No, he doesn't need it. He's using the buggy. That buggy's got so much damage that these big units are just getting shredded by it.
So XP is in dragoN's favour, so he's nearly at perk 3, so he's going to get even more scrats, which are going to power the Daka up even more. Nataraja does have the the Yahoo in his hand, but maybe he's a little bit scared to use it at the moment.
Right. So what Nataraja is really trying to do is get one of those big units on face, and then jump and holy ground on the boom buggy to kill it before it kills his big unit, and then that allows him to do a lot of face damage and trade well, and not get shredded. But unfortunately, things are just not lining up. The big units are getting ducked. That holy ground is being used for maybe it's not in the right cycle.
There's
and
the
he's just
Daka.
defending.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I don't like that at all. I mean, he kept the Daka off of the Yahoo, but goodness me,
Sacrificed the shield guard.
shield guard got shredded. He did have the bats available, and the bats are just perfect for soaking that Daka up. But at least he has the Yahoo this time. He does have a heal as well. But here comes the Setsu, and you would have to say that the Setsu's perk 3 is substantially stronger than Ratbo's perk 3.
Yeah, Setsu's perk, if you're thinking not thinking it in very general terms, should be way better than Ratbo's third perk. But in the context of this game, again, we have a huge XP lead by dragoN, and these Scrats are stalling. They're not just stalling; they're putting pressure on Nataraja.
I mean,
they're just
Nataraja,
keeping the bridges.
with the XP at the moment, Nataraja knows that he needs to be very offensive. He needs to shut this game down. He needs to win this. He can't play the long game. He can't really go for any sort of bridge control. He's got to put the pressure on. But here we see
That jump was nice. Really good value. But it seems like it's too late.
I mean, that Sunder's nice. It's an extra spell to set off the reload, but again, didn't really do much face damage. And dragoN is just closing in. We've got a massive Daka ready to go here. The Unholy Ground is nice to try to interrupt that.
Right.
And then it will, remember, the Daka will target the closest unit in a straight line from the centre of the Master. So at the moment, that would be the Jolo. You can also Daka if you time it right, and he didn't quite get it right. I'm not sure if he went for it or not there, but you can, if you time it right, you can hit the Setsu as it lands. Absolutely shred it before it gets a shot off, but that's a very difficult one to hit. But here we go, Mana Frenzy. Looks like we've got some lag here. Hopefully we come back.
My game's not lagging.
Okay. No, that was just me. I think we're good though. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Right.
This defense is shutting down the shield guard. The duck is shutting down. Well, they're bats, but usually something big. It's just out of control, basically.
Yeah, this is just
and
too
even
much.
Even the Jolo does nothing against the duck. It puts it so many hits that it does more than 10 shots, guaranteeing to kill him.
Gonna get shut down. This is the beginning of the end here. Again, this is a case of dragoN just managing the XP better, managing the bridges, and ultimately closing out the game. Okay, congratulations to dragoN taking the second game there. Ratbo, not a master we see too much, but that Daka is incredible in the right hands. And we saw there that they're definitely just absolutely wiping out that Yahoo, and it's just huge because Nataraja's whole plan is to push behind that, really. And with that getting removed so mana efficiently, then that puts him at such a disadvantage.
Right.
But that is the power of the Daka. Right, so let's get set up for game number 3. If we had any lag, just refresh the stream. Sometimes we get some lag when we run these two games at the same time. Not really sure how to resolve that. Right, so game number 3. Let's get ready for this. Just get this set up. So after those 2 games, you would definitely say that dragoN's in the ascendancy here. He seems to have been relatively comfortable in those games. His bridge control has been pretty much perfect.
Those games went similar to in a way because Nataraja was playing these decks that were trying to overwhelm the enemy in terms of board presence, the dragon was really just controlling the whole time. Just
Yeah.
controlling the bridges, controlling the defending, and he was defending so well that his defending units were putting pressure on Nataraja, and that's when you know that the defense is working well when it becomes offense.
Okay. So this is game number 3. We're in our first best of 5, potential dual best of 5 series. If dragoN wins this, he does force the second best of 5. But let's see if he can do that, or if Nataraja can fight back. Just getting loaded in here. Okay, are you ready to go, Satan?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's Minion Masters!
Okay. Rect and Valorian, the two newest masters and Minion Masters.
Okay, so
usually that would have been a Wolf Among Sheep. I wonder if Nataraja still has Wolf Among Sheep in his deck after its change. But of course we have the Empyrean minions. On dragoN's side, it looks like his deck is almost the same as his Apep's deck so far. Maybe it is the same.
yeah, we've definitely seen people using decks that are effectively, as you say, very, very similar, especially the core cards, regardless of the master. There's some masters that they may be better with, but they're still strong, just because you're using just a selection of the strong cards.
It looks like it is, and that is a with the conquest rules. It's a very effective strategy for almost loopholing that rule, because you manage to find something that your opponent can't handle, and then whether you need small adaptations or not, you basically are using the same strategy, just with a different master.
Thanks, Bolshaka. I'll run that here. Yeah, so the conquest rules that Satan refers to means that once you win with a master, you can't play them again in this final. But you can play the same deck with a different master. This is a tourney final, yeah. This is 1v1 tourney final. We're watching it from replays. It's dragoN against Nataraja. It's currently 2-0 to dragoN in this best of 5. So again, dragoN's got the extra XP. He's ahead on bridge control.
So both these...
So swapping from Ratbo to Rect means he loses that big removal with the Daka, but he gets the extra bridge control, gets extra horde removal. So
yeah, it's horde removal and it's anti-air bridge control, as you say. And in terms of the matchup, the Masters matchup, both Masters are offering a lot of board presence, in the sense that the extra range, the extra units, and the extra heals kind of can both do a lot to change the tide of the battle. But it's difficult to see whether...
He's struggling to get a lot of value out of his removal there. Nice little jump, keeps that bridge. And that's one of the parts of Rect that is really skillful. Using the jumps, not only to give you additional bridge control, but also to drop your shadow clones to drop extra AoE.
Exactly, because they explode, dealing 50 damage to everything in a small area. Is it 50 damage?
I believe so, yeah. Same as illusionary cleaver or whelp.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so again,
Jazz.
perk 3. You see that removal?
Yeah.
That removal is just struggling. That Searing Light, that hits real hard, and it's going to start hitting even harder. But when it's hitting scrats, it's not really getting huge value.
I guess he wants it against the defensor, but even those Rect clones just give it extra targets, and just make it so that really it's such a, as you say, it's such a strong removal, but it doesn't do anything if it's hitting small things. That was okay, but if you can notice, the center of the spell was on Nataraja's side of the field. Might not sound silly pointing that out, but that's a huge thing. If using spells on your side of the field, then that tells you a lot about the state of the game and the state of your mind also, in the sense that you're focusing on defense, you're not focusing on supporting your minions on their side. So
there we see dragoN jumping at the top, putting pressure on that top bridge. Of course, he does have his one punch blast from perk 3 now, so he does have that extra removal for any units that are pretty tanky, or if he gets to face, because Nataraja is pretty low HP here.
Yeah. The XP and health is just so dragoN's favor that it's very difficult for Nataraja at this point.
So remember, if dragoN does take this game, he takes the first series, the first best of 5, 3-0, and forces a second best of 5. But there we go. He got to face. He got the one punch blast on face, and it really. The only question here is dragoN going to finish the game before Mana Frenzy or not? I feel like it's almost already guaranteed that he's going to win this. He's so far ahead.
Right.
Nataraja's so low. Just those extra Rex clones, they're just allowing him that extra control of the bridges. dragoN always plays decks that seem to be about control. You very rarely see him play a very aggro deck. And you can see here that's
right.
This is
not that he can't take advantage of moments where he can be aggressive and go for getting the opponent, but just the overall design strategy and the win condition tends to be very defensive and just like controlling the important things, the HP and the XP.
Okay, so dragoN takes that series 3-0 pretty comfortably, I must say. He didn't seem to be behind at any point in any of those games. And it was always just a case that he was always marching to Mana Frenzy well ahead of his opponent, and that was always going to be a win condition if he needed it. So that means dragoN takes the series by 3-0, but Nataraja, having reached the grand final from the winners bracket, he does have a second life. So we're going to reset here. We're going to do a second best of 5. And you would have to say at this point, Nataraja being beaten 3-0 quite comfortably for dragoN. This is it's going to be really difficult for Nataraja to turn this around and get his score on the board here.
So the bans, are they the same in this next set?
I believe so. I want to ask dragoN, but I don't know whether to believe him or not. dragoN, are the bans going to be the same? Bob Ross of War, thanks so much for the subscription. It doesn't pop up on the screen while we're doing this YouTube stuff, but it will be there soon. Right, so we're going to get set up here for our second best of 5. I mean, I figured you'd know since you're part of it. Okay.
Just give me a minute, I'm just loading the replays and stuff.
It's fine. Okay. Match replays. So if you're enjoying the content, please drop a subscription if you're watching this on YouTube. We are doing this live on Twitch as well. 2 birds with 1 stone. If you're interested in playing in any of the tournaments, make sure you keep your eyes out for any of the events that are coming up. Check out the in-game news in Minimasters. Check out all the Discords. There's always advertisements for them. Lots of cool stuff, lots of events. As mentioned before, these are play over time events, so you get 3 days to complete each of your matches, so they're super convenient to get involved in and get your matches done. You don't have to block out a whole day. So we'll just wait for Satan to get his replays set up. My replays are almost done here.
Yep, I am ready.
We believe the bans are the same. So again, dragoN banning KP, King Puff, and Stormbringer. Nataraja banning Morelia and Milloween. So let's get ready. Okay, let's just reset the score. So again, this is going to be best of 5. It's reset, so they could have made different bands if they wanted to. They haven't chosen to. Again, the Conquest rules do apply, but they've been reset, so they can play the Masters again, and then if they win with them in this best of 5, they'll be unable to continue to play them. So here we go. Are you ready, Satan?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. We're going to be loading into game number 1 of the second best of 5. It's dragoN against Nataraja. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Minion
And
Masters.
here we have, I'm expecting, yes, the same deck that we've seen 3 times from dragoN, and the Nataraja has come with something really new. We haven't seen him play Blood Imps, and we haven't seen him play Morelia, so it's like a new...
Okay, so yeah. APEP, the control APEP, of course the free cards he's going to get a perk 1 and perk 3. Going to add to his cheap cycle.
So Soul Steed is certainly nice with... I mean, against the Scrat Horde and stuff.
Yeah.
And interesting, Nataraja's playing the Lost Legionnaires without them being activated, and I've seen that a bit lately because the shield doesn't seem to be as valued by people as the Rage was.
Yeah, I feel like the Rage was far stronger on the Lost Legionnaires.
So you'll see them play it without having Empyrean Army, and just as some kind of cheap mid-range units.
Yeah, nice bridge split, grab both of them, not too shabby.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, dragoN ahead on XP. What can Nataraja do? So again, that Soul Stealer is going to start going to work. Every time he gets a kill at the top there, it's going to start attacking more quickly.
Yeah. The Soul Stealer does seem like a tech card put in to counter that scrapyard, and in general the spammy nature of dragoN's deck. Soul Stealer also nice with defense.
Yeah, so dragoN got the Grenadier from his perk 1, which Grenadier, of course, one of dragoN's favourite cards. One of the, arguably one of the strongest 2 mana cards in the game. Both players using them here. dragoN's got 2 of them though. No wild cards allowed, but of course that's a little cheating way to sidestep that restriction.
Yeah, dragoN loving sidestepping these restrictions. But yeah, the double Grenadier is really great when you get it with APEP and you have one anyway. Because usually when you have one anyway, you're using the Grenadier a lot to clear stuff, and just having that extra one means that if the opponent removes it, which is already often a negative trade-off, which is why Grenadier is so strong, because it's so cheap, so removing it costs more usually. But then having another one is just, yeah, it's pretty great.
You get a bit of pressure coming in the bottom there, but that Defenso's doing such a great job. Nullifying everything. XP's a lot closer in this game than we've seen in the previous ones. It could be more important what dragoN gets from his perk 3. Sometimes if you're just in control as APEP, then whatever you get from perk 3 is just great. But if it's a close game, then that perk 3 can really change things. But here we see Red Golem has entered the fray. Nataraja has dropped below 1500 HP.
It's nice to see the Curse Bear on the other side of the field with the Red Golem out.
Yeah, so what the top players will do is, with things like the Red Golem and big units, that if their opponent's got a Curse Bearer, they will pay attention to that, and they want to keep it as far away as possible. So,
right,
they will maybe hold for that.
Now, dragoN did have the shield, but he chose to aggro the Golem anyway, because you really don't want to take those hits from the Red Golem. No. You take 2, next thing you half health, and then he just needs one solid session with the Red Golem in the face again, and you're dead. So
if he gets,
you really don't want to risk it.
If he gets another Curse Bearer from perk 3, Nataraja is not going to be happy. dragoN gets that. He's got a Whirly Scrat, so that's. I mean, that's not the best. It's a good card.
Well, it's great to combo with a double Grenadier, but not very great against the.
So here we see he gets the Curse Bearer out, but he doesn't want to aggro with the Curse Bearer. He wants to keep that Curse Bearer alive, and he's done a great job.
And
of
it
that.
just shreds through it. It's so much, coupled with the Scrats, of course.
XP
Here
is
he
close.
can afford to let this stay on face and put the Trojan
No,
up.
he's
because-
spawned that dragon into the Curse Bearer. I'm not fully behind that. Remember, the Curse Bearer's... Look how much damage that dragon's taken already just from that curse, and it's still going. That dragon's taken massive damage from that curse. Seemed unnecessary.
That's true, but
He's very low
look
HP.
how low Nataraja
Yeah.
is. If
He may have had
if
to
he
do
let
that.
something else on, but yeah, that dragon's not doing anything. That curse bearer there.
It's going to be game to dragon. Ultimately, Nataraja's dragon not really doing anything at all. The dragon's Apep just too strong again. The Curse Bearer absolutely shredding that dragon. That's the power of the curse. And even the Red Golem came out, but the Red Golem just wasn't able to... Although it did change the tempo of the game a little bit, we did see the XP getting closer. It wasn't really able to get much value apart from just being a high HP unit. Just sitting there, just punching those scrats, and really just holding that bridge for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So that's 4 games in a row that Dragon has won. So Nataraja's really got his back up against the wall here. Needs to do something to change the way this entire double best of 5 is unfolding. So again, Apep will no longer be able to be played by Dragon, but as we've seen before, he may choose a similar deck with a different master. But let's find out. We're just going to get our replays set up and synchronized, and then we'll see exactly what's going to happen. So Dragon definitely in the ascendancy here, Satan.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough playing when you have this as the backdrop. It's easy to tilt and to not necessarily tilt, just to get frustrated and feel like it's difficult. But anyone can come back at any moment. So
yeah, we've definitely seen in some of the big tournaments that when someone gets their back against the wall, they can sometimes really fight back. We've seen Lazur do that on multiple occasions, where he's come back with nothing to spare, back against the wall as far down as possible when he does come back. So it's always possible, but Nataraja needs something here. Are you ready to queue? Are you ready to load into the game, Satan? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
And it looks like the
Throw down that face down.
the wrecked version of the Apep deck, and another new deck coming from Nataraja, a Volko.
Okay, so again, this is following similar to what we saw in the first one. He did go Ratbo second in the first one. This time he's gone for Wrecked, just to maybe just spice things up a little bit, keep his opponent on their toes. We haven't seen Volko yet. We'll see what Nataraja can do with regards to that.
Volko should be nice with the wrecked clones being burned.
Yeah.
If Dragon ever builds up a push with the clones, everything's gonna die except the tanks.
Okay, so the ATG drone's going to start shredding. Of course, Volko can't hit air, so we need things in the deck. Nataraja does. So Volko can't hit air, the ATG drone can't hit air. He needs to make sure he's got things to cover those weaknesses.
Yeah, although Dragon doesn't have that much air, as far as I actually don't know if he has anything.
That's very true, yeah. Kind of assumed he did, but maybe he doesn't. Okay, so we've got a
these
scrapyard deck for Nataraja.
I think one of the reasons why Volko has been quite strong is because of the lack of popularity of air units. Since they haven't been able to capture the bridges. But yeah, this is probably Nataraja's Stormbringer deck or some modification thereof. Because Volko, I suppose it is very nice to get rage on those Outlanders. They do a lot of damage, and Dragon just spamming those wrecked walkers to defend against all the air.
That's the bridge burn
was
softening everything
effective. yeah, the bridge bone ensured that those wrecked walkers would just defense. They didn't do anything offensively.
One thing I think it's worth noting is that if you watch both players to a degree, but I think more dragoN, he's always got a lot of mana. He doesn't spend his mana until he really needs to, and that allows him to react and have as many options available as possible. You don't want to burn mana, but you don't need to spawn it and spend it immediately.
Yeah, the management of mana and basically always having enough mana to respond is basically the one of the most important skills in this in the game, I think. Just because it's something you really need to get used to in the sense of muscle memory, because you're thinking about a lot of things when you're playing, and you don't have to think about how much mana you have. But if you get into the habit of always playing when you have not always playing when you have as much mana as possible. Sometimes you do want to play, go aggro to push or something, but in general, having as much mana as possible is very, very good.
That was a great beam because it kept on a lot of pressure, and you can see here dragoN's already got a big XP lead, perk 3, so he has the one punch blast to remove anything.
Yeah,
particularly
HP is in Nataraja's favor, and HP is what Nataraja really cares about with this scrapyard deck. He wants to just get too much damage on for dragoN to deal with. Of course, you don't want to be behind. No one wants to be behind in XP. But if Nataraja can build up what he's doing now, then dragoN could have a problem.
Yeah, you can definitely see that the raised units, the scrapyard, those sort of pushes can put out a lot of units that are a lot of damage. So dragoN down to 875 HP. It's getting fairly serious here. Rex surviving at the top. It's going to probably... Oh, I thought he was going to go for a one-punch blast on face. He might have decided not to because he may have been killed as it was happening. But I think the one-punch blast, really, he wants to try to use that on the... Okay, he's just gone straight beam. Straight beam on the ATG drone.
That's fair enough. We saw what it did last time. He has the mana, as we said, keeping his mana a lot, and so he can afford to do that.
I'm sure someone's going to complain how I say mana, but it always happens. I'm surprised he doesn't beam the face stroke scrapyard, because it seems like he's getting a lot of value out of that.
The scrapyard is getting more and more valuable as the game goes on, because you can cycle your deck faster and therefore get more scrap while you have the scrapyard open. So it just splits out more and more minions as the game goes on.
Here comes that enraged ATG drone. Hasn't got on face
dragoN really is really low, but he's very close to mana frenzy. So if he can hold on, he'll be fine. But he has to hold on because
this feels like a much closer game than the other ones we've seen. dragoN's low
Absolutely.
HP.
It might not seem like that way in terms of XP, but because health is ultimately what wins you the game.
Yeah.
It is very close, and he needs that beam there. He would lose if he didn't do that beam there. That was enough damage to kill him very quickly.
Yeah.
But again, having enough mana and knowing when to use your beam defensively is super important when you're going against an aggressive deck like this.
The beam is very important to use it at the right time, because all that mana you're using, you're going to be light on the field with units.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put yourself too far behind. But now he's in mana frenzy, he can beam to his heart's content, really. Nataraja not too far away from his mana frenzy. Looked like we're going to get a double mana frenzy situation here. Some pressure coming on though. Nataraja dropping down his own HP. Mana frenzy about to hit for him, but he does need to close this out. Most of it's going to go down. Okay, Mana Frenzy for Nataraja now. This is very close, but dragoN does have the push. He has the benefit of having his own Mana Frenzy for quite some time. That wall, I'm not sure really what that wall achieved. Not really anything.
It looked like a very rushed move to try and...
Looks like he's going to close it out. dragoN. Okay, that was very close in the end there. dragoN does close it out. And you could see just the face damage. That's all he was trying to do. The face damage, try to get the game finished out before Mana Frenzy, because Nataraja was behind, and although he did get to his own Mana Frenzy, once your opponents had their Mana Frenzy for quite a while, they've really just had that benefit of that extra mana, and it's difficult to play back into that. So dragoN takes it again. That's 5 games in a row. He's 2 games to 0 up. He could close out this best of 5 with the next game. We'll see exactly what. Sorry, go ahead.
After watching that match, I understand dragoN's ban of Stormbringer a lot more, because we saw how annoying that scrapyard was, and you can imagine with Stormbringer it would have been even more annoying. The stuff would have outranged his wrecked walkers, not his wrecked walkers, his wrecked clones, I don't know how he would have defended against the Stormbringer version of that deck. So. But yeah, also impressive that Nataraja has made this work with Volko.
Yeah, it was very close in the end there. Ultimately not quite close enough. But I think, although Nataraja is very far behind overall in this series, I think he'll take some heart in how he was able to keep that one pretty damn close. Okay, let's get ready for game number 3 in this second best of 5, potentially the last, or potentially the start of a Nataraja comeback. We will find out. Loading in. Are you ready, Satan?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go.
We haven't seen a dragoN from dragoN yet. And is this the same deck, but with dragoN? Looks like it. I suppose it makes sense. dragoN is a very generalist master, can do a lot of things, and certainly including help with a control style.
Okay, so Nataraja again, sticking with Volko. He didn't win with Volko, so he can play Volko again. It's not a banned master, and I guess he feels like that the deck worked out pretty well in the last game.
Yeah, rightly so. I think a few different interactions here and there could have given him the game. So
there we see the beam just to shut that down. That's not so much about doing face damage. The face damage is a bonus there, but shutting down that scrapyard. And you know, scrapyard's a 4 mana card. You might think, well, a 7 mana beam's not a great trade, but not only does it kill the scrapyard, it kills anything that scrapyard could have potentially birthed.
Which would have been way more than 7 mana worth.
Indeed. So that's frustrating for Nataraja. He's invested mana, he's invested all his tech, and he's got really nothing to show for it. And again, we can see dragoN racing ahead on XP to start with. So he's got his trap available. Perk 2 is going to be Ruffles running onto the field.
Yeah, and
again, so
here's the scrapyard quite forward.
Yeah, so he spawns
he doesn't
it there.
He doesn't want the beam, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is that crossbow trap puts out so much DPS now that it really shut that down.
It did half its HP. It does 800 damage in total, and 800 damage is more than a beam. So yes, you can counter it, but if you let that thing go off, he's getting 800 damage for 1 mana, and that's including on face if necessary.
So the way the buildings in this game work is they have a decay rate. So they decay over time, so effectively if you're doing damage to it, you're reducing the length of time it will survive during the decay, so then you're reducing how long it's going to be alive for, and that's hugely important with things that spawn units.
Nice beam there, but now the scrapyard can be played right next to Nataraja's base. What's it called? Flyby is being used now to counter this, because dragoN has learned from the previous game that that thing just gets out of control if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Even with the damage, you can see like a lot of
that Grenadier
stuff
unfortunately dying there. Okay, so XP is in Dragon's favour, but if I
But
feel
here
like
we have 4 drone buzzards on his face, and this kind of stuff can just do so much damage.
so you see how much damage he's putting out there from those units that came out of the scrapyard, and that's the scrapyard that was put under pressure. So if he can get, if he can, it's going to be difficult, but if he can get an uncontested scrapyard, he can get such a push. And again, that trap seems to be a little bit too far away from the scrapyard, but he's got another one. Perk 3 is an extra trap, 2 traps for Dragon. So again, look at that trap, absolutely shredding it.
Yeah, that trap is very, very strong.
He did get a unit to come out of it, but
and having the Taunt trap
not what
and
you want.
the regular trap together is really good. When you playing Diona at 3rd perk, you want to try and have you don't want to have both of the same traps at once, because you can combo them so well together, the crossbow and the taunt at the same time.
Again, just this time just the beam. He's just putting
and
pressure.
Dragon
on it
is saying,
time.
"I don't care. Play it wherever you want. It's gonna get beamed."
Yeah. He doesn't have the beam for the ATG drone, but he'd rather have to deal with that than have to deal with a scrapyard pumping out units.
ATG drone's 1 unit, and as a flyby does a lot to it. Diona does a lot to it, but a literal horde of drone buzzards is quite something else to deal with. So rather just beam it to get it out of the way.
Dragon really has this one where he wants it. He's ahead on XP, he's ahead on HP. He's able to shut down Nataraja's plan, basically. Every time he's got either a trap, he's got a flyby, he's got a beam, he's got lots of options to shut down, or at least minimise the benefit that scrapyard can bring. Those traps helping him trade more efficiently there. Buzzard's doing some work though. Double trap. Wants to keep Ruffles alive there. Ruffles grabbing yellow potion. That's extra XP, and that's almost enough for Mana Frenzy for Dragon. He's got the bridges. He's going to be going into Mana Frenzy. Remember, he's 2 games to 0 up. There's a GG dropped for Dragon. He's looking to close this out. Beam on face. Mana Frenzy available. He should be able to just cycle and close this game and the series and the tournament out. Remember, this is the tournament final. Just pressure, pressure, pressure. And Nataraja, there's nothing he can do. Just beam on face, units on face. Nataraja knows. That's going to be Dragon taking this by 3 games to 0. And whilst Nataraja did put up a very good fight, it's been a complete whitewash there for Dragon. Just in control of most of the matches. There was one match that was super close. But ultimately, Dragon was still ahead during that. He did drop quite a lot of HP in one of those games. But Dragon comes through, taking the first best of 5 by 3 games to 0, and the second best of 5 by 3 games to 0. Did you see a whitewash like that on the card, Satan? Are you surprised? Come on in, Earth to Satan. Earth to Satan. Oh, Satan has exploded. Okay. Hello.
Hey, I don't know what. Did you get disconnected?
I was still there. You left me.
Oh, I got disconnected. I don't know what.
Ah. Okay, so that was a whitewash there. Were you surprised to see that quite so one-sided?
Yeah. Overall, the games were very, as you say, one-sided. The last 2 with the Volko were not, I wouldn't say one-sided, but considering it was a 6-0 overall, Dragon just played it pretty flawlessly. Like literally probably the only thing I could have seen that was a strange play was duckering a bat. I'm just kidding. That wasn't even bad. It was in Mana Frenzy already. But yeah, flawless plays there. But Nataraja saying that didn't play badly, and we know he played really well to get to the finals in the first place. Was just
of course he did beat dragoN earlier in the tournament as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Nataraja did get to the final with that with his second life intact, having previously beaten dragoN. So the final definitely not following that. That was a 3-2 victory, I think, to Nataraja. So a close one for sure. But ultimately, dragoN too strong for Nataraja. Well done to dragoN. He is victorious.
Well done. Very well done.
Okay, so remember, if you're enjoying this tournament action, check out the YouTube. There's loads more videos on there. Get involved in any of the upcoming tournaments. Check the Discord and all that good stuff. Thanks so much for joining me for this one, Satan. Good to have you on.
Are we not getting an interview with dragoN?
We could potentially try that, yeah. dragoN, did you want to come on and say anything? Let's see. It's a good idea. I didn't think of that. Right. He doesn't know what he'd add.
Say.
Okay, he's going to come on. If you want to join the voice channel on Discord, that'll be awesome. Just join one of the other ones. We'll drag you into this one. Yeah, join us. Join us. He's dragoN. Speech. Okay, let's get him in. Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thanks you very much.
Very well played. I don't know if Satan's got any questions, but one thing I wanted to ask you is that we didn't see the winners bracket final where Nataraja was able to beat you by 3-2. I was just interested to see why you thought that was such a different outcome to ultimately how the final played out.
To be honest, I don't remember exactly what he played in the winners bracket match, but I've met him several times on ladder, and he used to play Stormbringer with elves a lot, and it was really difficult to deal with that, so that's why I decided to get rid of it for this match. And King Puff overall is very strong as well, so that was the other choice.
Yeah, so when we see people banning, sometimes they ban based on what's strong, but also, as you say there, sometimes you base your ban specifically on what that player is likely to play. And as you say, you've seen him on ladder quite a lot, and of course I'm sure you've played against each other in tournaments as well. So that can really come into the decision making when you're making bans. And of course, whatever happened in the winners bracket final, you might not remember it now because this final is a little bit old. But based on what happened in that might have influenced how you may have banned or played or built the decks for this final.
Yeah, exactly. You described it perfectly. A tournament is very different to a ladder match, and you need to consider not only the overall strength of the masters, but also whoever plays them the best or the most. For example, Nataraja banned Morelia against me. I don't think he would have done it against anyone else. So that was another preference from him, I'd say.
One of the things that Satan picked up was that you seem to be playing the same or a very similar deck using different masters, notably APEP and Rekt. Is that just a way of you've got a very strong deck and then you're just kind of playing around the conquest rules by just playing the strongest master perhaps to begin with and then swap into a different master which may not be quite so strong, but you still got the strength of the deck there?
Yeah, kind of. To be honest, after these games and this tournament was played after the big changes to the flying minions, nerfs to breath and such. And before that I've been really enjoying playing Accursed, but after the nerf of breath and Wolf Among Sheep, I kind of got disappointed and decided to just play a cycle deck, which is very strong if played well, and with addition of Curse Bearer, it can defend against almost any kind of cheese deck, aggressive stuff like that. So that's why I've decided to go for a safe option, because I didn't really have time to discover anything else that would suit my style.
I don't know if Satan's got any questions for you. Are you still here, Satan? Do you have anything you'd like to ask Dragon?
Two questions. Well, firstly, very well done, very well played. Like awesome thing. And the first question, I was also going to ask about that exact deck. What would you say is the weakness, if anything, of that deck? Because it seems like it goes well against anything. But in your experience, what do you struggle to go against with that?
That's a good question. I don't know if I want to say.
He doesn't want to say.
Fair enough.
Satan's taking notes
tomorrow.
But I've adjusted the deck away from like what I used to play. It's a bit different now. And what I've been most struggling with was the deck that I banned, the Stormbringer Elves. And as you guys mentioned during the commentary, the Scrapyard with Stormbringer is almost unbeatable with this, because the range is so huge that you can't do anything with these small minions. You need something bigger, which I added. But I don't want to spoil anything.
Fair
so
enough.
it should be better against that. And yeah, these two probably are the most... and of course King Puff as well. With his the perk free switches, he can get so much value that you can't outvalue that.
Makes sense. And then the second question: how many tournaments have you won?
I think you or someone else asked me as well before.
I haven't asked you before.
And then some people got mad at me that I said that I don't know, but I really don't know.
I don't get mad, but I think it would be interesting, because you might be the getting close to the number one in terms of that number.
Yeah, I think it might be getting close, but I joined in like I don't know how many years these tournaments have been running before, like 15, number 15 or something like that. I don't know. Fish can maybe give us more
this was 1v1 number 25, and we do them every month, so that means they've been running for just over 2 years.
Yeah, and I've joined like last year, something about it.
So I think you've won a high percentage of the ones you've entered, but as you say, you didn't start at the start. So yeah, very well played, absolute whitewash. But you know, these things happen, and I'm sure both players will learn from it. And nothing for Nataraja to be embarrassed about at all. He did it very well and gave you some tough games. Definitely one of them, the Volko, I think it was very close. The first time he played the Volko. Yeah,
I was impressed by that beam at the end, where a lot of people would not do that beam there, and they would just die. But from that.
Oh yeah, on the units, you mean?
Yeah, on the units.
Yeah.
Because they would think, oh, I can kill the beam, kill them with the scrats or something, but because they had rage, they would kill you.
Yeah. So those split decisions, and the fact I think at that point you were either in Mana Frenzy or just about to hit Mana Frenzy, so that investment in the beam was not quite so scary as it would have been earlier in the game.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, very well played, and I'm sure we'll see you in another final soon. Maybe in about 5 minutes. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for dropping on. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us your insight. And again, very well played.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And again, shout out to Nataraja for playing the games with me. It was really fun to play, and he did a really good job.
Yep. We'll see you soon, and best of luck in all of the upcoming events, whether that's in whether they're my events, or of course we've got a big GG Tour tournament coming up on Saturday the 18th. If this is on YouTube in time for that.
Okay guys, thanks a lot for having me, and thank you for the commentary. See ya.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Okay, and that was that. Just to recap, dragoN beat Nataraja by 3-0 in the first best of 5 and 3-0 in the second best of 5 to be crowned the champion of the 1v1 number 25. Now, Satan, thanks so much for joining me on this cast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Hopefully we see you again soon. Thanks for you guys watching in Twitch, watching on YouTube. My name's been Bad as Fish80. Remember, the Fish Tank is sponsored by Sneak Energy. Use code FISH if you wish at sneakenergy.com. Thanks for Beta Dwarf for supporting this event, and I'll see you again soon here in the Fish Tank.